Hi everyone, this is Ellen. I'm going to talk about bidding today in the context of AdWords and a handful of slides, so let's go ahead and get started. So on this first slide, we see a link to an infographic. That's great. If you can click on it, I'd recommend taking a peek at it. Otherwise, you can look later on. I have a link to it in the reference section. So with Google AdWords, the process is really pretty simple. You type in some search terms, and then behind the scenes, a number of potential advertisers have some kind of bidding war that's going on, and through the magic of Google, they decide who wins that bid war, and ads appear either in different places or on the tops and sides of the page. So let's dig in a little bit into what really happens in step number 2. So ultimately it comes down to how your ad ranks. So Google determines where an ad ranks by looking at your cost per click and the quality score. And the cost per click is something that's established within AdWords that gets multiplied by your quality score, and the result is this ad rank. So there's magic, of course, in the quality score. A good bit amount of magic. So taking a look a little bit deeper into how the quality score is determined. So the click-through rate is definitely a main driver. And they look at the click-through rate based on different device types. So mobile is treated differently than other websites. And the click-through rate is determined at your account level, the keywords that you've picked, and the particular ad that you're displaying as well. So there's multiple pieces that come together to help determine this quality score. When you are monitoring your account and you look inside that, you can see the value of your quality score just as a number between 1 and 10. In recent information, it's been shared that the landing page quality is also used to determine this quality score. And if you keep a close eye on your bounce rates and the time on site, it might help you to determine how good your landing page is. So getting a high quality score is really about optimizing for the click-through rate. And so there's your challenge, is to get that great magical click-through rate. So let's take a closer look at how this rank is again computed. And while it might seem like if you're willing to pay the most for an ad that you would win this bidding war all the time, that's not the case at all. So in this little scenario, there's 4 different advertisers, and each one has already established, how much they're willing to bid. They've set their maximum bid. And that number is multiplied by the quality score to get your ad rank. So you can see that advertiser 1, even though it has a smaller maximum bid based on the search criteria and the keywords and the ads and the way everything is set up, that advertiser is getting a higher quality score than the other advertisers. So they will get the highest ad rank, which means they'll get the highest position on that page. They'll be the top ad on the page. The other advertisers may also get ads on that page, depending upon how their criteria are set up. So you can see this advertiser number 1 wins the bidding war, and that's going to go on the page, and they'll be charged. So it'd be interesting to note too how the billing works on if this ad actually gets placed and it gets clicked on. So even though you've said you're willing to pay $2, you'll probably not pay that much money, because your charge for placing that ad and the actual click through on that ad is based on the ad rank of the site below yours in this bidding competition. So in this example, even though the top ad had an ad rank of 20, the one below it had a rank of 16. And so that number gets factored in divided by the quality score plus a penny gets added for the price of Google. So it's pretty interesting. So in this top line, even though they were willing to pay up to $2, the charge is really only $1.61. And example below too, their max bid was $4, but their bill, should their ad have been placed and clicked through, is $3 and a penny. There's more to understand. It turns out that this bidding is actually quite complex. So bidding gets associated with your AdWords account structure. And so we need to dig in a little bit more to understand how an account is set up along with campaigns and ad groups and keywords. And I think we've seen some of this information before, but it helps to revisit it. So at the very top level, you have an account. And you can have up to 25 campaigns going on within your account. And this is really where the bulk of your bidding is established, is per campaign. So here you set up your bidding, and then below that you define your ad groups. And your ad groups then collect up keywords and placements and ads. And so you can see the breakdown of one particular ad group. So there's different ads that are available and different keywords associated with those ads. So let's look at a more concrete example. So on this website, then for this florist, they have multiple campaigns going on, and we're looking at an elaboration of this one for the new baby. And so the new baby has 3 different ad groups associated with it. So there's the girl ads, the boy ads, and the gender neutral ads. And next to that, we can see the keywords that are associated with those ads, with those ad groups. And so if these search terms come up, then the associated ad copy could get used on the page itself. So walking all the way down, we can see how the process lays out through the account all the way down to the particular ad copy that will ultimately get placed on the page and hopefully clicked on. All right, so now let's talk a little bit about all of the different options that are available for bidding. There's a little menu that displays when you're setting up your AdWords account. And probably the most common one used is this manual cost per click. But you don't have to use that one. In that example, when you use this cost per click, that's your ad group default bid, and you say exactly what you're willing to pay. There's another option which is called an automatic cost per click. And to use this, you set a daily budget, and you're trusting Google to automatically adjust how the bidding goes on the cost per click. But the ultimate goal here is to maximize the number of clicks that you get through. Then there's an enhanced cost per click, where AdWords automatically increases or decreases to drive the most number of conversions. And following that, then there's this other option called cost per acquisition, or this conversion optimizer, where you're targeting a very specific cost per acquisition. And in order to use this, you need to have conversions. That needs to be an effective ad. If Google, through its metrics, doesn't collect enough conversions on this ad, then it's going to quit placing ads for you using this method. So anyway, in this technique, what it does is it automatically adjusts the bids as well. And then there are variations on all of these, which are considered flexible. We'll talk about those on the next page. So there are flexible bidding strategies that automatically set bids to optimize for certain goals that you would establish along campaigns or ad groups, etc. And so these break down, and they correspond pretty well with the ads on the front page that we just looked at. So there is a strategy to maximize the clicks. So that's just a more flexible version of the automatic CPC bidding strategy. And then there's a flexible version as well of the conversion optimizer. And then there's also a flexible version of the enhanced cost per click. And this one I think is interesting. There's one based on search page location where AdWords will increase or decrease your bids with the aim, but not the promise, of getting your ad to be on the top of the page or in a first page position. And then there's also this last option, which is a return on ad spend, which predicts future conversions and does your bidding based on what you think advertisers are, what the conversion values are likely to be. So a little bit confusing. I think if I were first starting out, I would start with some of the manual options first and monitor those and see how it goes. It's a little extra guidance here on when to use some of these flexible bid strategies. Again, would start off with some of the simple strategies, and then if you're understanding what they're doing and you want to try and fine-tune those a little bit, it would be a good time to try some of these flexible strategies. And here's guidance as well. So, when to use the maximize clicks if you want to get more traffic to your site, or you want to work on improving your conversions. Maybe if you want to try and control your spending a little bit as well, you might get more conversions for fewer dollars by trying a few of these flexible techniques. But I think that these are fairly advanced, and until you've experimented with a couple of the other methods, you probably don't want to dive into these right away. There are a few things that are new for 2013. You can adjust the bid rates based on the time of day. So, for instance, you're really don't want to spend a lot of money on people who are searching around in the wee hours of the night. You can lower your bid rates and have them increase during perhaps normal business hours. You can also do more location-based bid management, and this happens, it's a campaign feature, so we can focus in on local areas. In fact, I've even seen this myself. Sometimes I've been surprised to see very well-targeted ads for local businesses when I'm searching for something. So in a way, it's almost doing me a favor at times, and I don't mind seeing the ads. So you can set adjustments for locations within the campaign. All right, so I collected a handful of tips. There's lots of tips out there. Some of these make up a lot of common sense, but worth taking a look at first initially. So you can get pretty carried away with spending money on these ads. So I think you definitely want to set a daily budget. And you set your budget at the campaign level, and you also set your maximum CPC bid at the ad group or the keyword level. So you need to be careful to keep your maximum CPC bid to be less than your daily budget, or nothing is ever going to show up. Then you really need to monitor your keywords performance. So as you go into your AdWords and you take a look at how things are going, you should see the word active. Active means that it's placing ads and it's doing pretty well. And you should also take a look at your quality score. You might see the words that say active, ads show rarely due to quality score. Then that's a real key to you that your keywords need to be modified to improve your quality score. You might see a message that says active, bid is below first page bid estimate, which is encouraging you to bid more, but there's no guarantee that it's going to get you that place. But you can certainly be guaranteed that Google's going to be making more money. Something else that you can do is you can try placement targeting. And while I say it's not really bidding, it is in a way. I have a slide on that in another minute here. But in this case, what you're doing is you're reaching the audience that you want by picking particular websites and basically paying for ads on those websites, or picking the audience demographic that you want for your ads. So it's not based on the search driving your ad placement, but it's based more on particular websites or particular demographics. So I have more on that in a second. A couple more tips. Keep the ad group keyword list short. And you should, in order to help establish your quality score and get a high click-through rate, you probably want to start off bidding high. It's almost like you've got to pay the price to get into the system, and once you've earned your quality score, you can start to lower your bids. But it's like you gotta pay to play. Setting a budget higher than Google recommends will help you get started. One particular piece of advice is to set higher bids on exact matches. So when you have your keywords and there's an exact match, and that's a really key match to you, you could be willing to pay more on that. Also, you can and you should test different versions of ads, and absolutely you need to monitor your performance. Don't do all this work, put all these ads out there and pay all this money without monitoring and understanding how well a particular ad is working. Okay, so this is the other form of advertising, which is more of a placement, but there is a little bit of bidding that goes on behind the scenes. So in this case, for a campaign, you're choosing specific sites for an ad to appear. And in this case, your ad rank still applies. You're still in that competition, but you have a greater chance of landing your ad on a particular page. And there's two types of bidding that you can use in here. There's a cost per click, or there's a CPM, which is cost per 1,000 impressions. So when you have a cost per click bidding, that means that your ad is likely to appear with other ads on that page. If you have a cost per 1,000 impressions, then your ad is appearing alone. There's no other ads appearing next to your ad. So interesting options. I am amazed at the variety of strategies and methods that get involved in having ads show up on these pages. I knew that it was a little more complicated than I thought, but it is. It's really evolved over time, and it will continue to evolve, and Google will continue to adjust their algorithm for computing that quality score. So once you think you figured it out, you've got to keep on top of it, because the rules are probably always going to change. I tried really hard to find a cute funny to go along with this, and well, not quite exactly there, but it's pretty good. Have a quick read. There is a little bit of a message here. It's like if we all knew how much our competitors were bidding, we would play the game a whole lot smarter. And I've also included a number of references. A couple of these are some videos and infographics. There's just a wealth of information out there on this topic. So happy reading. Thanks, everybody.